The galactic compliance officer's claws tapped nervously on his data pad as the airlock hissed open. Inspector Vortak adjusted his uniform, exhaled a calming breath, and stepped onto the infamous human freighter Rust Bucket Betty. It smelled like engine grease, artificial cinnamon, and poorly contained chaos. "Welcome aboard, sweetheart," said a voice as smooth as static-charged silk. She strolled into view, hips swaying in sync with a heavy tool belt that looked like it had started 3 wars and seduced 2 planetary governments. Human. Female. Hair tied back, tank top greasy, smile criminally confident. "I'm Engineer Becca Reyes," she said. "You must be the brave little inspector here to judge my toys." Vortak stiffened. "I am here for a peace compliance audit. Records show your vessel neutralized a pirate fleet without a single standard-issue weapon." Becca smirked and gestured. "Help yourself. We've got nothing to hide, except the chocolate rations." "Don't ask." The audit began. Vortak scanned a crate labeled "Thermal Calibrator, do not insert anally again." He frowned. "This calibrator. What function does it serve?" "Depends. In low-power mode, it fixes engine flow issues. In high-power mode? It melts steel. Also works as a back massager. Multifunctional." Vortak's mandibles clicked in distress. "And this? Universal adapter / melee bludgeon? Oh yeah? Great for cross-species coupling." She leaned in, whispering. "Both mechanical and recreational." He dropped the adapter like it burned. Becca giggled. Another crate. "Liquid lubricant, for joints, bolts, and awkward tension." Vortak didn't ask. He moved on. "Explain this." He held up a chrome rod pulsing faintly. "It hums. It's warm. That's my multipurpose stimulator," she said, completely straight-faced. "Pain relief. Deep tissue repair. Possibly a disruptor cannon if angled right. Depends what mood I'm in." He held it like it might explode. "Why does it say hot mode not advised for beginners?" She raised an eyebrow. "Because not everyone's ready to handle it." He quickly logged it as a Class 3 hazardous object and slid it back in the crate. Everywhere he turned, the tools were labeled with suggestive warnings and terrifying ambiguity. A hammer marked "Gravity calibrated for comfort and cranial adjustment." A wrench that beeped ominously when moved. A spool of duct tape labeled "Fixes everything, including morale." Vortak's translator chimed with a cultural note. "Human phrase duct tape is symbolic of pragmatic nihilism mixed with violent optimism." He regretted reading it. Becca leaned against a bulkhead, chewing something that looked suspiciously like gum but smoked faintly. "You okay there, Inspector?" she asked sweetly. "You're sweating. Not used to a girl with curves and a socket set?" "I am not sweating," he lied, dabbing his brow. "Your ship's internal temperature is clearly unstable." She laughed. "That's not the only thing running hot today." He decided it was safer not to respond. Then came the toolbox. It was pink. With stickers. One said, "My safe word is don't stop." Inside, clamps, probes, a flashlight that projected in heat vision and ultraviolet, and a buzzing object Vortak couldn't identify. Becca picked it up, flicked a switch, and it emitted a high-pitched whine and a blue spark. "Plasma cutter," she said. "Also great for toasting marshmallows. Or lovers." "I am submitting a formal objection to this ship's tool labeling policy," Vortak declared. She gave him an exaggerated wink. "You think this is bad? Wait till you see my emergency repair kit. Half of it's edible." He paused mid-note. "Why?" "Long story. Involving tentacles, a shortage of rations, and one hell of a bet." He wasn't sure if she was joking. Probably. Hopefully. By the time they reached the medbay, Vortak had catalogued over 30 dual-use tools, each more bewildering than the last. He was beginning to suspect humans treated danger as foreplay. He scanned a panel labeled "Tension Release Lever." Becca stopped him. "Don't touch that. That's the airlock override and the emergency beer tap." He blinked. What kind of engineering doctrine would approve this? Mine. She passed him, her shoulder brushing his with casual dominance. This ship, she said over her shoulder, runs on muscle, madness, and multi-tools. We improvise. Adapt. And if something breaks, we either fix it, flirt with it, or hit it until it begs for mercy. Vortak muttered. You people are insane. She grinned. We prefer functionally feral. Has a nicer ring. He followed her reluctantly into the engineering bay, where a console displayed a log entry. Pirate attack. Repelled using improvised tactics and minimal property damage. Collateral, 1 deep fryer, 3 rolls of bubble wrap, emotional trauma for survivors. He read it twice. This isn't a battle report. This is a bar story. It's both, she said. You want weapons? You won't find them here. Vortak gestured wildly. Everything on this ship is potentially lethal. Becca gave a mock gasp. You noticed! Then she stepped closer, voice low and teasing. Tell me, Inspector, when a human holds a tool, do you really think it stays just a tool? He stared. No answer came. She tapped his badge lightly with a wrench buzzing faintly in her hand. Stick around, she purred. We haven't even gotten to the fun drawer. Vortak backed away slowly. He needed backup. And possibly therapy. And they hadn't even reached the armory. If it had an armory. He really hoped it didn't. Inspector Vortak hadn't slept. His secondary eyelids twitched from overuse. The human freighter was still under his jurisdiction, and every passing moment seemed to challenge the very definition of non-hostile. The previous day's audit had left him with questions. Too many questions. Why did a salad spinner come with a plasma vent warning? Why did their toolbox need a cooling fan? And why, by every galactic metric, did these people act like they weren't one bad pun away from total war? Vortak stood before the engineering logs, demanding playback of the pirate incident. The ship's AI, cheerfully named Susan, obliged with a wink and a tone far too sultry for a NAV system. The feed began. Becca Reyes lounged in the engine bay, sipping a canned beverage labeled Jet Fuel, Do Not Chug Again. Suddenly, alarms blared. Pirate boarding party. She rolled her eyes. Every damn Tuesday. She muttered, then cracked her knuckles and popped open a drawer. No weapons. Just kitchenware, plumbing components, and things Vortak hadn't seen outside of private recreation catalogs. She took a pressure cooker, modified it mid-run, filled it with canned cheese and a volatile coolant capsule. When the pirates breached, she lobbed it. It detonated midair, spraying the invaders with superheated cheese that solidified on contact. One pirate screamed about lactose-based warfare. Vortak paused the video. What in the gods' names is wrong with you people? Becca appeared at his side without warning. Oh, that old footage? Yeah. That was a fun one. Melted half their weapons and gave the rest a deep cleaning. Never underestimate dairy. He gawked. Why is your first instinct to cook something explosively? She shrugged. Because bullets don't stick. Cheese does. He resumed the feed, jaw clenched. The second wave of pirates rushed the corridor. Becca pulled 2 vibration-based muscle relaxers from her locker, slapped metal plates on them, and slid them across the floor. When the pirates stepped on them, they vibrated violently, destabilizing their footing. 2 of them vomited from inner ear disruption before collapsing. Vortak blinked. Did you weaponize personal health devices? She beamed. Like my mom always said, wellness is warfare. Another clip. Pirates forced open the kitchen bay. Becca stood inside, holding a pair of tongs and a bottle labeled Pan Grease/Impact Enhancer. She sprayed the floor, then engaged the auto-whisker drones. The invaders slipped, slammed into walls, and were trapped by rapidly expanding foam insulation fired from a modified icing dispenser. Non-lethal, she said proudly. Except to egos. The playback ended. Vortak turned to her, eyes wide. Why is everything you own so perverse? You're looking at it wrong, she said. We didn't build weapons. We just got tired of things being one use. He paced. You could have surrendered. Called for aid. She looked almost offended. And let them steal my ship? My tools? My attachments? Absolutely not. He opened a drawer at random, pulled out a compact rod with coiled tubing and a glowing core. And this? Is this your toothbrush? She snatched it back. No, that's my high-pressure carburetor unclogger / marital aid. Confuse it again, and I will demonstrate the difference. He froze. Across the corridor, the alien botanist clutched a hedge trimmer with trembling claws. This cuts flesh, he whimpered. It also prunes bonsai, Becca replied cheerfully. Balance is everything. Another officer held up a boot jack fitted with a power cell. Why is this magnetic? Because I modified it into an improvised breaching wedge, she said. Also because it sticks well to the hull during zero-G repairs. Depends on which end you're on. Vortak clutched his temples. This is not an inspection. This is a horror simulation with flotation. Hey, Becca said, mock-offended. Don't kink-shame my toolkit. He spun toward her. What are you? She grinned. Just a girl who likes her equipment multifunctional. Especially when the alternative is dying. Or boredom. The alien team retreated to the control room in silence, watching more logs. Becca using a magnetic stirrer to disrupt enemy rifles. Becca deploying a flesh-colored personal device as a distraction, pirates too confused to fire. Becca triggering a subsonic massage unit to cause structural harmonic feedback. Entire enemy deck collapsed. Vortak's claws clicked uncontrollably. She weaponized pleasure. The crew was silent. She turned maintenance into murder. More silence. She is the most terrifying creature I have ever met. Becca popped her head in. Inspector, you're making me blush. Want to see what happens when I overclock my soldering iron? No, he barked, voice cracking. She strolled away, humming. Your loss. Back in his quarters, Vortak tried to file a report. He couldn't categorize the threats. There were no standard codes for wrench-based dismemberment probability or erotic distraction field. He tried again. Subject demonstrates high-level improvisation. All objects potentially lethal. Human intent unclear. Items labeled suggestively, creating audit confusion. Recommend psychological reevaluation of inspector. Also a shower. He sighed. Then added a footnote. Note, request clarification on difference between multi-tool, pleasure device, and plasma torch. Unclear if distinctions exist. Behind him, Becca's voice floated through the calm. Hey, Inspector, you didn't touch my emergency repair drawer, did you? He jumped. No. Why? Because if you did, I hope you're good with high voltage and low inhibitions. He disconnected. The audit was far from over. And so was his grip on reality. Vortak sat stone-faced in the command deck of the Rust Bucket Betty, staring at the compiled footage, logs, and confiscated equipment that now filled 3 cargo pallets. None of it was classified as weaponry by galactic standards. All of it had been used to incapacitate, neutralize, or deeply traumatize pirate forces. He'd seen species with military budgets rivaling planetary GDPs struggle to do half as much damage. And Becca Reyes had done it with kitchen tools, vibrators, and one suspiciously aggressive air fryer. He summoned her for questioning. She entered, hands oily, smirk ready. You rang? You've been officially placed under Code 9 observation for weaponized improvisation. Sounds sexy. Is there a badge? No. He hesitated. But there is a psychological evaluation. I charge for therapy sessions. He ignored her. You refer to your methods as creative repair solutions, yet in every documented engagement, you escalate to what can only be described as domestic terrorism. She gasped. That's slander. It's more like situational enhancement. I watched you shove a thermal massager into a ventilation shaft and detonate it using a candy bar and a solar charger. First of all, that was a tactical marshmallow. And second, vent shaft needed unclogging. He held up another report. You neutralized a boarding squad with a collapsible pole and peanut butter. Correction, collapsible pole, peanut butter, and a motivational poster. He gave her a long, exhausted stare. I don't make the rules. She shrugged. I just break them creatively. He reviewed the logs again. The term, standard protocol, never appeared once. Instead, phrases like, winging it, felt right at the time, and had nothing else on hand but a car battery and shame, dominated. Your idea of combat doctrine seems unhinged. Thanks, she said brightly. We call it adaptive aggression. That's not a doctrine. That's a diagnosis. She leaned over the table, her expression more serious now. You want to know why we do it this way, Inspector? Why humans never just carry guns and follow protocol? He didn't answer. Because no one ever expects a plunger to start a rebellion. He stared. You board a ship looking for missile silos and plasma blades. You find spatulas and gel packs. You relax. You lower your guard. That's when the real danger starts. That's called deception. That's called survival. He didn't have a response. She tapped the datapad in his claws. You know what happened when those pirates boarded us? They brought guns. We brought a soda stream hooked to a helium tank. They were confused. We were improvising. And guess who's still standing? He scrolled down the log. Becca had redirected coolant from the engine to freeze door handles shut. She turned an exercise resistance band into a slingshot that cracked a pirate's visor. She overloaded a scent diffuser to release sleep gas. And she did it all while making jokes about torque ratios and flexible shafts. What is this device labeled personal steamer / mood stabilizer / mild skin exfoliator? He asked, dreading the answer. Oh, that? You know, it kinda depends where you aim it. He wrote highly suspect in his notes. And this? He held up a coiled wire wrapped in glitter tape with a tag. For special occasions only. Use that to short-circuit an enemy's navigation AI. But originally, it was for date night. You don't have date night alone. Don't tell my equipment that. Vortak decided to move on before the phrase intimate circuit bonding became relevant. Another log caught his eye. In it, Becca attached 4 vibro tools to the underside of a cleaning drone, creating what she described as an emotional support murder bot. It moved erratically, shrieked while low, and left trail marks on the ceiling. 3 pirates fled on sight. You instilled fear using household tech and irreverent slang. That's the human experience in a nutshell. He placed the pad down. You repelled an entire boarding force with no formal weapons, no armor, and what appears to be a deeply inappropriate understanding of ergonomics. I also baked muffins during the standoff. They were a little overdone, but worth it. That's psychotic. That's multitasking. He sat in silence for a long moment, then asked, Do you realize what this means to the galactic community? That we're resourceful? That you're unstable? She leaned in, grin widening. You say unstable, I say efficient. Your species is a logistical nightmare. Or an evolutionary miracle. Tomato, thermonuclear tomato. He sighed. And the worst part is, I can't charge you with anything. Because we didn't break any laws. You broke the spirit of the law. She crossed her arms. That spirit's been asking for it for a while. He stood abruptly, moving toward the sealed container of confiscated items. Inside were gadgets that shouldn't work, tools that doubled as threats, and objects that had no business being in either a bedroom or a battlefield, but somehow managed to be both. You realize the Council will have to reclassify your entire cargo as conditional weaponry. Good luck explaining that to Customs. Especially the part about the vibrating orbital polisher. That thing's got fans. He turned slowly. Is there anything on this ship that is strictly safe? She thought for a second. Maybe the pillow fort in crew quarters. That sounds harmless. She added. Unless you sit on the wrong one. One of them's rigged to launch pepper packets. Of course it is. He stared at her, this maddeningly clever, casually dangerous woman who had turned every assumption he held about tools, weapons, and human limitations into space dust. I should be terrified of you. You are, she said, not unkindly. He didn't argue. Because she was right. Vortak finalized his confiscation order with shaky claws. Every item even remotely resembling a threat had been logged, crated, and sealed. He listed them as multi-use mechanicals, improvised field assets, or, in a few alarming cases, culturally ambiguous vibration devices. The labels didn't matter. What mattered was getting them far away from human hands. Becca stood watching him from across the bay, arms folded, expression unreadable. You done stripping my ship bare? She asked. For now, he replied. All anomalous equipment has been secured under interstellar compliance regulations. Cute, she said. You think locking up the toys makes you safe? He ignored the tone. We've neutralized your capacity to cause further misunderstandings. She stepped forward slowly. You confiscated the tools. But you never asked how the pirates were really stopped. I saw the logs. You saw what I let you see. He narrowed his eyes. Explain. She held up her hand and rolled back the sleeve of her coverall. Her arm didn't end in flesh. It ended in smooth alloy plating that clicked softly as small seams revealed hidden panels. With a low whir, the arm reconfigured itself, first into a high-torque drill, then a welding laser, then something that hummed ominously and sparked with blue light. Built it myself, she said. You thought it was a prosthetic. It's an entire engineering deck. He stepped back. That's prohibited combat tech. It's a tool. Depends how I use it. That's semantics. That's survival. She took a step forward. The panels on her shoulder flexed and retracted. More hidden modules revealed themselves, spool-fed attachments, microservos, and a sleek compartment with labels that read sealant, stimulant, and, bafflingly, snack compartment. You think humans need gadgets to be dangerous? She asked. We're born with the instinct to solve problems. You just never thought you'd be the problem. His voice dropped. You tricked this inspection from the start. I followed the rules. I just also had fun. Vortak backed toward the sealed crates. You can't intimidate a galactic official. She grinned. Then I must be doing something else to you. He froze. Oh, relax, she said. I'm not here to hurt you. The arm retracted to its neutral state. The hum died. I'm here to make a point. He swallowed. And that point is? We don't carry weapons because we are weapons. Our minds. Our hands. Our bad ideas and worse follow through. You can't disarm a human by taking away their tech. All you do is take away the instruction manual. Vortak didn't respond. You're terrified, she continued. Not because of what you found, but because of what you didn't understand. She pointed to the confiscated bin. Go ahead. Take the boxes. Study them. Dissect them. Catalog the hell out of them. You still won't be able to answer the only question that matters. He waited. Was that a tool, or a weapon in disguise? There was silence. Then she smirked. Spoiler, yes. Behind them, one of the sealed crates began to vibrate. Vortak stared. What is that? Oh, she said, tapping her wrist. Probably just a feedback loop from the magnetic whisk. Or a tantrum. Depends on how you packed it. The crate rattled harder. Something inside gave a low, rhythmic buzz. A warning beep echoed from his datapad. Unstable energy signature detected in storage unit 3. She sighed. That's the exfoliator again. It gets cranky if it's stored upside down. I thought it was passive. Depends on the setting. He lunged to input a suppression code. The crate groaned and then, mercifully, fell silent. You see? She said, voice light. You're already adapting. That's very human of you. He glared. I will recommend immediate reclassification of all dual-purpose human equipment. Mandatory disarmament. Possibly behavioral containment protocols. She gave him a mock salute. Good luck with that. And if you resist? She leaned closer, voice low. Then I'll show you what the third setting on my coffee maker does. He didn't ask. She turned away, walking back toward the maintenance corridor, boots echoing with confidence. As she vanished from view, the overhead lights flickered, as if the ship itself was stifling a laugh. Vortak stood alone in the bay, surrounded by innocent-looking objects that could do unimaginable things in human hands. The datapad trembled slightly. He looked down. Another alert. Unauthorized reactivation, prosthetic interface module, engineering bay power surge detected. He looked up. Race. Her voice echoed from somewhere overhead. Surge stabilizing. Just a little tune-up. You wouldn't want me malfunctioning during deep space repairs, would you? Your arm is military grade. No, she replied. It's me grade. The transmission ended. He closed his eyes. Mission complete, he told himself. Audit closed. But as he walked toward the airlock, Vortak knew the truth. No number of rules, inspections, or protocols could account for what humans brought to the stars. Not fear. Not strength. Imagination. And in their hands, even a spoon could be strategic. As he stepped into the shuttle, he felt the datapad vibrate again. Another warning. He shut it off. He didn't want to know. Some things weren't tools. Some things weren't weapons. Some things were just human. And that, he realized, was the most dangerous category of all.